Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here today. Welcome to this webinar where we will be taking you through the app that has been developed through this project. Some information: this webinar will be recorded, and the recording will later be available on the Child Hub platform, and you will receive a link for this in the end of the webinar. During this webinar, you will have access to both the chat function and the Q&A function. For technical issues or questions of a technical nature, please use the chat function. If you have any content-related comments or questions for the speakers, please use the Q&A function. We will be monitoring both the chat and the Q&A function throughout this session. During this webinar, we will also be launching 2 polls, a short introduction poll and a feedback poll at the end of the webinar. So please stick around until the end to complete the end poll. We really appreciate your feedback that we get from you. So I would see if we can ask our colleagues to launch the intro poll. Thank you, everyone, for answering the intro poll. I will now hand over to my colleague, Olivia Lind Haldorsson, for a brief introduction.
Thank you so much, Natascha, and thank you to all the colleagues who have joined us here today. I can't see you all, but I see in the list of participants that there are many, many familiar colleagues who have joined us today, and we're so happy about that. And looking at the participants list, I can see that there are a lot of people that we've had conversations with about child participation in the Barnahus. Because of course, child participation is at the center of Barnahus in so many different ways. You are aware of the Barnahus quality standards that draw on the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, Article 12, other articles that want to make sure that children have a right to participation and a right to information. And this, of course, also applies to Barnahus. And Barnahus across Europe work in many different ways in diverse contexts, and we recognize that. But we also see that they share this common goal and often common challenge to ensure that children have access to these rights in a way that prevents re-traumatization, keeps them safe, and that also contributes to their journeys towards healing, protection, and justice. And in this Journeys project, we have been working hard to find different ways of supporting Barnahus across Europe to fulfill this obligation towards children. And the Journeys app is one of these tools that we hope can inspire, complement, and support Barnahus in sharing information about Barnahus per se, to prepare children for their journey and also help them through this journey so that it becomes an informed experience for them. So I very much look forward to the presentation that my colleagues will have today to introduce this app, which has been done in consultation with professionals, children and young people, and the partners to the Journeys project. So thank you, and with that, I hand over back to Natascha and my colleagues.
Thank you, Olivia. I will now hand over to my colleagues Sven Wilson and Laura Daoud.
Thank you, Natascha. Let me just start by sharing my screen here. So, can you see this now?
Yes.
Perfect. So, hello and a warm welcome to this webinar. We are excited to see so many people here and to be able to share the app with you today. My name is Sven Wilson, and I work as a policy and research assistant in the Children at Risk unit at CBSS. I will, together with my colleague Laura, introduce the app. Laura, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Sven. Hi, everyone. My name is Laura Daoud, and I work as a program coordinator at the Children at Risk unit at the Council of the Baltic Sea States. And I have been involved in this project together with my colleagues Sven and Natascha from the CBSS side. Sven, maybe you can go through your presentation now, and I will be talking more after Sven. Thank you.
So this is actually the world premiere of the app, which is huge. So you people here today will be the first group of people who will see how the app actually looks like. I guess it's both exciting and a bit terrifying. But why are we having this webinar today? So what's the purpose of it? And the aim of today's session is rather simple. It's to give a basic introduction to the app that we have developed in the context of the Journeys project. We also firmly believe that this tool is a useful tool for Barnahus. And during this webinar, we will try to convey why we believe so. To achieve this aim, we have structured today's session in the following way. So I will start by giving a short background to why we developed an app. Then Laura will present a helicopter view of the app and introduce the first public section of the app. I will then go on to introduce the second section of the app, and lastly, I will round up and introduce some of the tools that we have developed that will accompany the app. Before starting, I will also mention that we will go through the app on a website called Flutterflow. We're doing this since we're currently updating some aspects of the app in Google Play Store and in App Store. And this will also allow us to kind of go through it jointly on one screen rather than individually on phones. And we believe it's much better to do this so that everyone can be on the same screen. Okay, so let's dive into today's webinar. Why did we develop an app? And I will address this question in two parts. And the first question is, what gap is this app meant to address? And the second is, why did we choose an application format rather than something else? I think it is actually crucial to understand these two questions, not only to provide some context, but also because it has directly influenced the app's design. So, starting with the first question, what gap is this app meant to address? As we all know, children have a right to be heard and taken seriously, as Article 12 prescribes, which is one of the most fundamental values of the UNCRC. The right to information entails that children should get all the information they need to make clear decisions in their best interest. Previous reports from Barnahus, however, have identified that children are not always receiving the information they need, and that Barnahus has an opportunity to improve its ability to provide child victims with adequate information before, during, and after the visit. To illustrate, in the 2013 national evaluation of Swedish Barnahus, the authors concluded that in a large portion of the Barnahus they studied, there were deficiencies in terms of providing adequate information, and that staff often perceived that children and families are left without information. This problem has also been highlighted in other reports and papers from other countries. So to address this gap, the project Journeys was created with the aim of facilitating the child's journey through Barnahus and ensure that they receive adequate information. So that's the kind of gap that we're trying to address with this app. And that brings me to the second question. Why an application format? So why did we think that an application was particularly suited for this, given the purpose of providing children with adequate information? To address this question, I also think it's important to consider some of the other tools that have been developed in the context of this project. So in this project, a child log has been developed. And this child log, very, very briefly, is a log that has been created to allow the child to revisit their Barnahus journey and look back at what happened at Barnahus, who they met, which room they went to, what decisions that were taken, and so on. And this will be a tool that is very, very comprehensive, highlighting everything that happened during their visit. But the tool will mainly be used after the Barnahus visit. So we therefore also need a tool that could be used before and during the Barnahus visit. And when we started this process, we envisaged this tool to be used in two different ways. So either children could access this information before they came to Barnahus, information about who they will meet, which staff, which room they will go to, or it could also be used once the child came to Barnahus for the Barnahus personnel to sit down with the child and walk them through the journey, who they will meet, which room they will go to, and so forth. And the aim was to create a tool that could cater for both these options and facilitate the dialogue between the Barnahus staff and the child. So in light of these two considerations, we thought that an app was the best option. But the fact that we chose an app format also introduced some issues early on in the process. So as we all know, apps are publicly available, and after some discussion with project partners, it was evident that many Barnahus don't want to show their rooms or the staff to the public. However, at the same time, we also wanted an app that was open and that children could access information, although they weren't going to a specific Barnahus. So this created a little bit of a tension. The app must contain, on the one hand, some general information about Barnahus so that children and caregivers can access information and know what Barnahus is. And on the other hand, it should also contain specific information about the child's journey, which Barnahus they will go to, which room they will visit, what staff, and so forth. So I think these two different demands have really shaped the outcome of the application. And with that, I leave over to Laura, who will introduce the first section of the app.
Thank you so much, Sven, for giving us background to why the app was created. I will now tell you more about the target group of the app, the language or languages that the app is available with, and the two sections that the app is consisted of. First, when it comes to target group or target groups, this app has been created to assist children in their journey through Barnahus. It aims to ensure that the child has all the information they need throughout their Barnahus journey. So the primary target group or user of the app is children. But there are also two secondary target groups. First, parents or caregivers who may benefit from the information and functions in the app and can also play a role in supervising and guiding their child when using the app, if appropriate. And second, professionals, for example, staff working at Barnahus or social workers who can use the app to structure the information sharing about Barnahus and engage in a dialogue with a child. As such, it can serve as a tool for the child liaison in guiding children through their journey at Barnahus. We can change slide. Thank you. And when it comes to language, the app is currently available in 2 languages, English and Swedish, as original content has been developed in those 2 languages as part of the Journeys project. However, the app will later on be available in other languages. We can change slide. Thank you. And now about the composition of the app. Sven gave us also a quick idea, but we have 2 main sections in the app. One section is interactive, and it's called Interactive Tour, and we will be walking you through both sections later on in the webinar. And the other section is called Visit Your Barnahus. So in this webinar, you will get to see both sections. I will walk you through the first section, the interactive tour, and Sven will show you the Visit Your Barnahus section. The aim of the interactive tour is to help children feel more comfortable and informed before, during, and after their visit to Barnahus. It will help them to access information about what Barnahus is and provide them with simple relaxation tools. When it comes to access, Sven just mentioned it, the app, this section of the app is public, so it is an open section. That means that in principle, anyone can access it. And there will be no information about any specific Barnahus in the first open section, just general information about Barnahus and the different rooms that are included in a Barnahus. Whereas the second section, Visit Your Barnahus, there will be more information about the specific Barnahus that the child will visit, to see real pictures of the Barnahus rooms and staff. So the child will be able to do that, and they will also be able to leave their comments on their journey. Sven will tell us more about the second section. So now I will be showing you a video about the first section, but this video will have no sound. So I will be speaking while we are looking at the video. Let me share my screen. I hope everyone can see it.
Yes.
Good, thank you, Sven. So I will now be walking you through the first section of the app, but before that, I'd like to mention that, as you can see on the home page of the app, we have this house that represents Barnahus. We have chosen it in order to show users that everything happens in one and the same place, under one roof, which reflects the multidisciplinary and interagency nature of the Barnahus service. To get started, we will first choose a language, and as you can see on the screen, we will be able to choose between 2 languages, English and Swedish. I will pick English and click on Get Started, which takes me to to the next page, where I can see the two main sections of the app, the interactive tour and visit your Barnahus section. I will soon go in the interactive tour section, which provides the user with a generic overview of Barnahus. So this section of the app is again public, so basically open to anyone who downloads the app, and is the same for all users. In this section, you are able to explore the Barnahus and its different rooms and also go to the relaxation space. But before moving forward, you will need to choose between two age groups, as you can see, 3 to 9 or 10 to 17. And the composition of the following parts are exactly the same in both age groups. So both parts contain exactly the same rooms. The only difference is that the designs of the rooms vary a bit between the age groups. In the 3 to 9 age group section, the rooms are designed to speak to younger children, whereas the 10 to 17 age group rooms are more adapted to older children or teenagers. I will be showing you the 10 to 17 age group today, but I will also show you one room in the 3 to 9 age group for you to get a feel of how it looks like. So I will now click on 10 to 17. It is soon coming. And when entering this section, you will get two options: explore interactive Barnahus rooms and meditation space. In the explore interactive Barnahus rooms section, you can choose between the different rooms in Barnahus, but I will start by going in the meditation space. So I will click on meditation space, which takes me to a simple breathing exercise. There will be a couple of options to choose from, but I will now show you the breathing exercise with the mascot. As you can see on the screen, I have the mascot, and under it, there are instructions on when to breathe in and out and the number of seconds. I will breathe in and out. The goal of this section is to help the child calm down by doing those simple breathing exercises. And as you can see, the mascot gets bigger when the child is supposed to breathe in, and then smaller when the child is supposed to breathe out. And I will soon go back. Sorry, I got a message that I need to move my screen because, can you see the video better now? Sven, is it better now?
Yes, just after you played it, just move your mouse so it's not showing the video up a bit onto the screen.
Yeah, I see. Thank you. So now I will show you the different rooms in the Barnahus. I will click on Explore Interactive Barnahus Rooms. And I'd like to mention that these rooms are only depictions of the different rooms in Barnahus. So they are not how any actual Barnahus looks like. They are rather a generic 3D representation of the rooms. So as you can see, you have different options to choose from: the waiting room, the interview room, the observation room, the mental health room, and there is a room that is missing on this screen, which is the examination room, but I will be able to pick it on the next screen. Let's now take a look at the waiting room. Coming soon. I will click on waiting room. It is taking some time because the audio unfortunately didn't work well on the video, so I had to do this. Yeah, now. So this is the waiting room, and here you can see the room. We have a sofa, 2 armchairs, a coffee table, some plants, some windows, some shelves. I can move around the room and see it from all angles. And since this room is designed for older children, it's quite simple. There's not, for example, too much toys in the room. As Sven said, we are showing the Fluttershy version here, but in the app, you will be able to interact with some of the elements in the room. For example, turn off and on the lamp, pick some of the things that are on the table, and so on. Yeah, so this is the waiting room, and it's based on how waiting rooms in some Barnahuses look like and which items they contain. I also would like to mention that the rooms are not completely finalized yet. We will have a short description or a short text about each room inside the room so that the child knows which room they are in while they are scrolling around. I will now change to another room. I will choose the interview room. This room is where the child has the child forensic interview, and it contains some typical objects that you can find in an interview room. For example, a camera, as you can see here on the screen, that is recording the interview with the child, and a microphone, as you can see here, hanging from the ceiling. And in the interview room, there are usually not much things. Just a second. It is quite minimalistic to not have too many impressions for the child. And I will soon move to another room, which is the observation room. And this is the room where professionals usually sit and watch the interview room that is being shown on this screen. And this is also based on how observation rooms look like in real Barnahuses. So quite simple design, just a table, some chairs, and the screen. Here you can see it from different angles. So let's take a look at another room now. I will choose the mental health room. And this is the room where the child sits, for example, with a psychologist to talk about their mental health and the experiences that they've been through. And it's also quite similar to other rooms in terms of the design, the colors, the curtains, the lighting, the shelves. So they all have more or less the same design. And I will now show you the examination room. Click on examination room. Takes some more time, but in the real app it will be faster. So this room is where the child meets a doctor and gets a medical examination. So it's also quite simple, but we tried to to have it similar to other rooms and not to have it look like a hospital. It's just, yeah, simple. It contains an examination chair and some of the other medical equipment that is needed. Yeah, you can see here the examination bed, the desk, and so on. And with that, we have gone through all the rooms in the 10 to 17 age group section. So I will now click on X to go back. And I will go back again and show you the design of one of the rooms in the 3 to 9 age group. So as I mentioned, the designs are quite similar. So we will not go through each and every one, but I will just show you one in order for you to see how it looks like. Let's choose, we'll need to click 3 to 9. It's taking some time. And let's choose again, explore interactive Barnahus rooms, and let's pick the waiting room. And here you can see that it's more adapted to younger children with some brighter colors, some more items, some toys. Yeah, you can see, for example, the carpet, the couch, the clock on the wall. It's much more colorful. And all the other rooms are similar in the 3 to 9 age group. And this part will also be interactive, so you will be also able to turn on and off the lamp, for example, and move some of the blocks and toys that you can see on the table and put them back. So it's quite nice. Yeah, so that's the design of the waiting room, and the other rooms are similar. I will now go back. And that's actually it for the first section. I will now hand over to Sven, who will walk us through the second section. And we will be able to take any questions at the end of our presentations. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Can you see this now? The PowerPoint again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I will now present the second section of the app. And this part is called Your Barnahus. And let me start by giving 3 important differences between this section and the first section. So first, the difference is that the section provides the child with a personalized introduction to the specific Barnahus they will visit. They will have a virtual tour of the Barnahus with photos of the rooms and the staff. The access to this section is restricted, and each Barnahus decides who has access to it. To get access to the restricted part, you need a valid Barnahus ID and a password. I will come back to this soon. This section also has a comment function so that the child can comment on their journey. This is to ensure that the child feels in control of their journey and that it can be used both before they come to Barnahus or during their Barnahus visit. So this is one of the reasons why this section is restricted, so that children can provide their comments knowing that no one else would see them. I should also add that this comment function can be turned off once the child has left Barnahus. I will also come back to that point. So how does this section work? I will go through it step by step and explain it as detailed as I can. And if you have any questions, please note them down and we can come back to them during the Q&A. So this is what happens when you enter the section. As you saw, this was the picture that Laura showed, the kind of landing page of the app, if you like. And when you press the visitor Barnahus, you get to this screen. And two things to note here. There is a Barnahus ID and a customized ID. Starting with the Barnahus ID, this will be an individual ID for each Barnahus. This is a code that identifies that particular Barnahus, and it serves like a username to log into that Barnahus. The customized ID, on the other hand, is like a password. And this ID will be generated when the practitioner creates a journey and then provided to the child. The first time the child logs into the journey, they are asked to change this password to something else so that only they themselves have access to their own journey. So we log in here now. And this is what happens. You get to welcome to the Barnahus you will visit. And there are 3 different buttons to click here if you skip this button for now. So it's about your Barnahus, it's a rooms, and it's staff section. And these sections do not come or arrive with content. And what I mean by that is that they will be different for each Barnahus. It's up to the practitioner of a Barnahus to populate this content, populate this section with content. This means that for every child who enters this section, the practitioner will decide which room to show, which staff to show, and what content the child has access to. This is so that the Barnahus really can tailor the journey for each child. So it might be the case that, say, on a particular day, someone is not working and the practitioner don't want to show this person to the child, so they can remove it from their journey. And I should also say that in these 3 categories, about your Barnahus, rooms, and staff, nothing is obligatory on behalf of the Barnahus that will populate this section. So if I present a section and you think, why include that? Then good news, like you don't have to include it. This is like a template, and then each Barnahus choose what to include. So everything, and I really mean everything, will be up to the Barnahus to decide what to include. So I just have prepared a brief video here showing how it looks like when you're logging in to see how it is in the app. You have the restricted section, you have a Barnahus ID, then a customized ID. And when the child logs in for the first time, they will be forced to create a new password, but we've skipped this step here. Okay, good. So let us walk through this section one by one, and starting with the About the Barnahus section. So the About Barnahus section is a section where you can have some general introduction to the specific Barnahus. Starting with About, so this can be a section containing information, what Barnahus is, why people would like to visit, or why people come to Barnahus. And just for this webinar, we prepared a text saying, Barnahus is a safe and child-friendly place where children who are presumed victims of violence receive the support they need. At Barnahus, law enforcement, social services, physical health, and mental health staff work together under one roof. By bringing the professions together and integrating how they work, children don't have to repeat their story so many times. So this section can, again, contain anything you would like to show to the child here. If you press Next, you will get to a page saying what to expect. And this might highlight what rooms they will go to, what they should prepare for, or something similar. And lastly, there is a section called What Happens After Barnahus. And sometimes you know that the child will come back to Barnahus therapy, or that they will be contacted by the social services or the like. So this is just to include that each Barnahus can decide here what they would like to show about your Barnahus section. Two additional things to note here. The first is that you see here, there is an audio button. So the Barnahus staff can upload audio where children can listen to it if they prefer that. Also, this plus comment up here on each slide represents the comment function. I will show in a video soon how to make a comment. Good. I think that was about your Barnahus. Let's move on to the rooms section. And the room section is basically there for the child to be able to see what room they will visit, how they look, and to receive some information about what will happen in each room. So we have prepared a few rooms here. Let's go through it to see what we have done. The first room you see has the waiting room, and as you can see, we prepared a short text. So in the waiting room, you'll wait in a soothing environment until an adult comes to take you to the next step in your appointment. There will be toys to play with and books to read. You can ask the people who work there any questions you have about your visit. You also have the possibility to listen to the sound again. In the mental health room, you can talk with someone who has helped many young people to improve their mental health and deal with trauma. And the next room is the examination room. And here I will show you how to make a comment. So if you go to the top right corner where there's a plus sign, you can add a note. So here I'm writing what will happen in this here. And then I press save at the top right corner. And then I've made a comment. So that's how it looks like for the user or for the child in the app. And this is the observation room. We didn't have a picture of this, so we just used a placeholder picture here, but I think you'll understand how this section works. Good. That was everything I had for the rooms section. So let's just briefly go through this third section, the staff section. This section is there so that the Barnahus can introduce the staff that the children will meet at Barnahus, and it's an opportunity for the child to see who they will meet. Maybe if the Barnahus uploads some audio, they can hear their voices and just get to know them a bit better so that when they arrive at Barnahus, it's less frightening for them. So again, I prepared a short video here with some photos of our team just to show you how it will look like in the app. So here we have Natascha, profession, favorite food, interests, just very briefly, and you can listen to the text in the top right corner. And then when you press finish, you get to this section. And you see the child can access their comments in the top right corner for all the rooms, and then they can filter it in the categories they made it. They also have the possibility to remove comments. So if you press select and you mark it, then you can delete it if you would like to do that. Just to show you how the comment function works in a bit more detail. Okay, so that was section 2, very briefly and quite quickly, but I think it covered the most central points. I guess the natural question after this presentation is, when will this app be used in the child's journey? And I can only say to that there's no definitive answer. So some Barnahus might want children to interact with the app before they come to Barnahus, so that when the child enter the Barnahus facilities, they have a good understanding of what will happen, who they will meet, and which room they'll see. Other Barnahus might want to designate a professional to go through the app together with the child and describe in more detail what will happen. And so they might show the journey when the child enter the facilities for the first time. How and when the app will be used will be up to each Barnahus to decide. Good. So Today, we've discussed the user perspective. However, there is an entire universe of the app that we haven't discussed today, which is the staff perspective. And in section 2, as I mentioned, each Barnahus will populate the app with their content, with their picture, texts, and audio files. And to help the Barnahus set up the app and understand the details of it, we have developed 2 documents. So on the left-hand side, you have a document called What to Keep in Mind when using the app. And the aim of this document is to give a basic understanding of the app, the scope and the purpose of it. It contains details about the 2 sections and some ethical consideration and a simple Q&A. So some of the questions we address in this document is, how can the password be given to the child? What's important to think about when adding pictures of the staff and the like. The second document that's in the right-hand side of the screen, that's called the user guide. This is a more technical implementation document. So it's a step-by-step guide in how to set up the app, including how to add the content, designing specific journeys. And this will also contain videos where we show how to do this on the different platforms that we have created. And these 2 together is the kind of the implementation kit of this app. So I actually think that takes us to end of today's webinar. And we will soon be happy to receive any questions or thoughts that you might have had during our presentation. And the aim of today's webinar, remember, was to give a very simple introduction to the different sections. And I hope that you feel that you have a better understanding of the app now. The app has 2 sections. The first is a generic 3D section that contains some general info about Barnahus. The second is a specific section, individual for each child. Before concluding, I would also like to say that we have developed this app together with children who have really shaped the final outcome of the app in so many ways. They have come up with excellent suggestions, additions, and recommendations for us. So if you have seen any virtues of the app today, it is likely one of their suggestions. So thank you for that, and I will now leave over to Natascha.
Thank you, Sven. We've now come to the Q&A function. I wanted to ask anyone if they feel like having a short break or if everyone is good to just push on. What do we think?
It looks like we can move on, maybe.
Yeah, let's move on then. We have so far received 2 questions, both from Emma. She wonders if we can see the medical room for the 3 to 9-year-olds.
Yes, thank you so much, Emma. Of course, I have prepared my screen here, so let me share again. So this is the medical room. I don't know. Oh, now I can move. Can you see it well, or is it?
We can see it if you scroll up a bit. Right now, we're showing a lot of the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's quite similar to the older ones. It's just a little bit here and there. That's the difference.
Yeah, a bit more colorful maybe, but in terms of equipment and items, it's the same as the medical room in the older age group. Yeah, maybe I can also try this one. think that makes us see it in a
Wider view.
wider view. That's it.
Thank you, Lara.
Thank
Then we
you.
have another question relating to the second section. Question is, who sees the comments and how, and who responds to the comments? Sven, maybe that's you.
Yes, we've actually had long discussions about this question because our initial thought was that the Barnahus practitioner would be able to see the comments. But then after discussions with children, we decided that only the child has access to their comments. Or maybe I should put on my video. However, the thought is that once the child enters the Barnahus, the practitioner will go through the app with the child and they can respond to any potential comments that the child had beforehand. So that's so only the child can see the comments.
Thank you, Sven. Do we have any more questions from the participants here today? Feel free to ask us anything. We're happy to answer any questions you might have.
Maybe, Natascha, if there aren't questions at the moment, maybe I can show other rooms since we have some extra time.
Yes, please go ahead. I don't think it'll hurt.
Yeah, let's do that then. Yeah, just let me go back here. Yeah, I will share my screen again. So we have seen the waiting room. Let's see the interview room. And I will put it in this view. Yeah, here we can see that the armchairs are a bit different, but it's the same concept. We have the microphone also hanging from the ceiling, the lamp. We have some clouds on the carpet. And yeah, a bit more colorful. So this is the interview room. We can now maybe take a look at the observation room.
That's the same for both age groups.
Yeah,
I think.
this is exactly the same, right? Thank you, Sven. So this is the mental health room. And maybe I can mention that this part actually of designing the app has taken the longest. And we've had consultation with, yeah, Sven said, children, but also experts in the field. And we've looked at tons of pictures of Barnahuses. this is it, and the medical room we've just seen. So now we have seen all rooms in both age groups.
Thank you, Laura. We just received another question asking if they understand it correctly, that there will be no explanation in the first section. So I'm guessing about the rooms. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
There will be no sound in the first section. There will be, so after the consultations we had with the child advisory board a month ago, they actually commented on that they thought that the first section had too little information about Barnahus. So we are currently working hard to update the first section, and it will contain information in each room about the room. So we've written some text about the waiting room, about the observation room, what will happen in there for the two different age groups. And that will be incorporated into a painting on the wall where it says, click here to get to know more about the room. In terms of sound for that section, that's actually not something that we have discussed, but given that we have sound for the second section, I do not think that it will be impossible to incorporate, but it's a good point and something that we need to consider going forward. So thank you for that, Beata.
Another question, is the app already in function? Is it being piloted?
So we are currently, we've just enrolled in both Google Play Store and App Store, and we are making small adjustments all the time. So it's not public yet. In terms of pilot, I do not think it will be piloted in the context of this project, but we would be, of course, very happy to have any Barnahus use it.
Thank you, Sven. I have another question here that we received privately. Let me find it. Is it compulsory for the authorities in Sweden to apply the Barnahus model?
Maybe Olivia is in best position to answer that, actually.
Of course. No, it's not. But it's quite spread across Sweden, but it's not compulsory, no. There's no legal obligation.
Again, we've received a comment privately here. Are you planning to gather feedback from children and professionals on the use of the app later on? Maybe that's for Sven or Laura.
Yes, so I think we've had some issues in terms of deadlines for the app. So I think the idea was to launch it a bit earlier than we've currently done now. And we've only 2 months left of this project, but hopefully we can launch it as soon as possible, possibly next week. And then we'll have at least a month of feedback that we can incorporate before the project ends. But ideally, we would have launched it a bit earlier to have a longer feedback period. But hopefully our extensive consultation with both practitioner and children before the launch has kind of made it in a good position. So it's not too much to change, but that will be something we'll have to see.
Thank you, Sven. Do we have any more questions from the participants here today? It looks quiet.
Of course, they can always reach out to us after this webinar if they are wondering something or if they would like to get more information about the app. We are available.
Absolutely. And just to add to that, that the app is still being developed. So any feedback that we can receive would be highly appreciative of that. And for example, this sound feedback in the first section, it's great to have that now, so we can go back to the developers and ask them about them.
We just received a new question. Is there going to be a cost for each Barnahus? I'm guessing for the app or the program behind it.
No, there won't. So we have developed this app as part of the Journeys project, and we are happy to have it available to any Barnahus who is interested in having it. But of course, to manage the app and to continuously update it with the Barnahus information, it requires work at the Barnahus, because we are hosting the app, but we are not managing or administrating it. So it's up for the Barnahus to administrate their own app if they are interested in using it.
Thank you, everyone, for all of your questions. I think we'll go ahead with the end poll. As we mentioned in the beginning, we will launch a short feedback poll, and your input is very important to us. So if I could ask my colleagues to please launch the end poll. So please take your time to answer it. Any information is incredibly important for us. We would also appreciate if you could take the time after this webinar to fill out a longer EU survey online. We will link this in the chat, but we will also be sending it out to you in an email after the webinar. It's a more comprehensive EU survey in that case. It takes a little bit longer to fill out, but any information or any feedback that you can give us is really appreciated. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you found the webinar interesting. We see that it was slightly shorter, but that means you have more time to think about questions. If you have anything else, just reach out to us. We're happy to answer them. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the webinar, the recording of this webinar, you can rewatch it. It will be uploaded on Child Hub. Thank you and goodbye.